Okay, this is part 3 of my lecture on Islam, and we're primarily focusing on trade because you've got this expanding Muslim world that's been taken over by the Islamic faith during this time period, and so you've got a lot of things moving back and forth, okay, and to illustrate that, you've got crops and trade going all the way from the tip of Africa over here all the way across into India over here, and of course from Spain over here going all the way through this entire area. So essentially what you have, of course, is the reestablishment of the Silk Road. Okay, it kind of broken down in this part of the world for various reasons. Okay, but with these new dynasties that popped up and that I mentioned in part 2, okay, you've got the Silk Road being reestablished, and so you've got basically overland trade, and you've got maritime trade, and you obviously have overland trade in this area, and of course the one animal that can survive long distances in the heat, of course, is the camel. So camels are very interesting animals. They're very temperamental, but and they're slow, but they can go for weeks and sometimes months without any water. And of course, in a big, huge desert-like environment, that's extremely important. So you have these long, huge caravans of merchants, okay, and their camel caravans, and the roads are, for the most part, open because the dynasties obviously want trade to continue, just like we talked about already, because trade equals money. Money exchanging hands means taxes, and of course means more wealth. Okay, but you also have maritime trade. Okay, you got goods and services going back and forth between India and the main part of this Islamic world. And so the Arabs, okay, are going to borrow the compass from the Chinese, and they're going to borrow what's called Latin sails from Southeast Asia, and also Indian mariners. And so those are, I think, they're the triangle sails that you see, okay? And so by making sail triangle, you're able to get more wind into the sail, and of course you can go a lot faster. So as Islam moves into more of the Persian part of the empire that they're going to create, okay, they're going to be able to expand their knowledge of all these things. Other things that we should be aware of during this time period, of course, is they've got a fairly good banking system going on during this time period, in which they're making out loans, and they're making contracts, and they're making agreements, and they're making they're like a bank today. They're the loans that they're giving out, there's an interest to be paid on the loans that they give out, and they have lines of credit, okay, and they're essentially functioning as what we would consider a bank today. And again, later on, when during the Renaissance time period, a lot of the things that Europe is going to obtain during the Renaissance was preserved by the Islamic culture. But we'll talk about that some other time. You also have organization of trade. You have entrepreneurs kind of pulling their resources together to form like merchant groups, okay, trade unions, and by pulling their money together, they can invest a little bit of their money into an operation, but if that operation is successful, then of course the dividends or the profits that they'll get from it are greatly increased. So again, just like today, pull your money together a little bit, okay, invest in something, and obviously make a profit off of it, okay, and they will continue to do that. Other things that we should mention is that you have, like I said, you've got the Islamic faith moving into Europe, okay, primarily into Spain, and they're going to be independent, more or less, of all these other dynasties that are running through the Middle East during this time period. So they're going to be kind of they're associated with the Islamic realm, okay, but they also have a mixture of European as well, and of course the Europeans obviously are becoming more Christian during this time period, and so there's going to be conflicts later on down the road. But the Islamic faith is going to stick around in Spain for a good couple hundred years, and then of course they're eventually going to be driven out. Other things that we should know, you have changing of women attitudes during this time period. The Quran, in a lot of ways, gives a lot of women security in this religion. But, okay, the Quran and Sharia law definitely makes it known that they are still subordinate to men. And over time, it's going to be reinforced and reinforced and reinterpreted. And so you're going to have almost a total subjugated population of women that are going to fall into the realm of this Islamic faith. Let's see, anything else that you guys should know? Nope. I think that's pretty much it for part 3.